Tonight on Closer Look, after months of debate, Iroquois Falls Council has made its final decision on the future of the well-known Highway 11 roadside statue known as the Storyteller, or Guy Paul Treefall. Timmins Today reporter Marissa Lentz-McGrath has been following this story and joins us tonight with an update. Marissa, you and I chatted about this situation back in February, so maybe let's start there as a refresher. What prompted the town council to move the iconic statue from the side of Highway 11?
So the lumberjack's future has been a hot topic since last fall. It was initially part of a complex near the highway, which is now owned by a local real estate company. A public survey was put out with the majority of residents voting to keep the statue where it was, but council stuck with its plan to move it elsewhere.
Okay, so in the end, Guy Paul is now moving to the Iroquois Falls Museum. However, the museum wasn't initially a proposed location for the statue. What factors or developments, Marissa, led to its selection as the final site?
The town explored several possible locations for the statue, ultimately narrowing it down to 4, none of which had included the museum. However, in late February, the museum expressed interest in becoming its new home, and at council's April 14th meeting, members voted in favor of relocating the statue to the museum, where it's now set to be moved this summer.
Now, the decision to move the statue to the museum kind of aligns with broader goals for Iroquois Falls. Marissa, could you elaborate on what those goals are and how moving the statue supports them?
So council believes moving the statue to the museum will help attract more people to town, which, in turn could boost traffic to local businesses and restaurants.
Now, we should point out that not everyone is in favor of the move, specifically resident Dakota Walcott. Why is she upset about the impending move?
She thinks the statue will create more local traffic, and she said she moved to Northern Ontario to escape that. She also said she doesn't want to look out her window and see a giant lumberjack statue. There's also concern that the statue could potentially lower her property value if she goes to sell.
Now, she expressed some frustration that council there didn't consider her speech when she addressed them. How did council address or respond to community concerns overall, and were any adjustments made based on public input?
So even going back to the original public survey about the statue, residents were clearly divided. Roughly half of respondents wanted it to stay put, while the other nearly half wanted its removal. And despite the split, council proceeded with the decision to relocate it. And when Dakota raised her concerns at last week's council meeting, she had expressed frustration, saying she felt it was a waste of time and that council had already made up its mind. So in the end, no, it doesn't really appear that, any adjustments were made based off of public feedback.
Yeah, that's a great point, Marissa. Let's talk about that for a sec. Now, given those divided opinions in town, how does council plan to ensure community buy-in or address lingering dissatisfaction about this decision?
So it's tough for any town council to make a decision that pleases everyone, right? In this case, it seems that they're content with the outcome and optimistic that the statue's new home will help draw on people and ultimately support the local economy.
All right, there's Marissa Lentz-McGrath from Timmins Today on the relocation of the Storyteller, Guy Paul Treefall. That's all for a Closer Look. We're back tomorrow night at 7 with another episode. For all of us at Village Media, thanks for watching.